talked about this task force and the county task force. Our task force will begin once the county task force concludes. So we have all the information recommendations from them. That's next Friday. Then we'll begin to assemble our team. We have a steering committee called the COVID working group that we assembled back in March, and that group will continue as we begin the next step in this process, which is to identify task force members and create task force, likely much like the county level task force groups, to begin this process of preparing for this coming school year. Emily, you had something that you wanted to share.
All right, thank you, Dr. Musarino, for this opportunity to speak today regarding the Riverside County Office of Education Task Force that myself and 6 other Alvord community members are part of. I'm really excited to share this with you today, especially after we just heard from our teachers, principals, and students, and how imperative it is to get our schools back open and running in the safest way possible. So I'm going to share my screen with a little bit of information regarding this task force. This task force includes members from all 23 districts in the county, and we meet 3 times over the next couple of weeks, as Dr. Musarino shared. This task force includes members that have a number of talents, experiences, and perspectives to help support the overall objective of discussing, planning, and implementing actions needed for the opening of schools in Riverside County. The group is broken up into 8 subcommittees. These subcommittees include communication and public relations, focused on connecting the community to resources and organizations to support non-academic needs for members of the county. It includes curriculum and instruction, focused on ensuring the delivery of instruction aligned to rigor, state standards, assessment, and engagement. Business and operation is looking at how to ensure safety of students as related to social distancing, nutrition, and transportation. Student support is looking through the lens of what our students need during this time. The personnel and risk management team is looking at providing guidance on wages, hours, risk management, and communication protocols. Technology is focused on supporting devices for students, staff, and families, and also looking at the county internet infrastructure to support all communities within the county. Early learning and preschool support is focused on providing program options to the very youngest community members. And then policy and governance is made up of district board members on the operations and policies and decision making. In summary, these subcommittees will develop key focus areas, describe what the implementation may look like, and provide district tools or artifacts to support local decision making. This group hopes to provide districts within the county a guide in supporting Alvord's reopening plan.
Thank you, Dr. DeVore. In addition to Emily, we have both presidents of our associations on the committee. We have 2 high school students on the committee. We have our chief facilities officer on the committee. We have our parent liaison on the committee as well. So we have broad representation and are looking forward to the recommendations. Now, the recommendations will be one of many sets of recommendations, because obviously the state, California Department of Education, the state superintendent of instruction, the Centers for Disease Control, we will be receiving guidance from a variety of different sources. So what I would love to engage everyone in right now is just a discussion about what's on your mind as you start thinking about what next year might look like. I'd like to start with teachers. So teachers, think a little bit about it. If, let's say, for example, we were going to continue with distant learning or some hybrid version where perhaps students are eased back into school, which is what a lot of the talk has been thus far, being able to have fewer students on campus at any given time, so social distancing could be practiced, which would be a great challenge on most campuses, obviously. But what might it look like? What are some of the things that you've been thinking about when August 10th comes? So who would like to start? Dr. Bennett.
Well, I know that a lot of people are concerned about, with the social distancing, having 30, 31 kids in a classroom. And, so I know that, the buzz is that there are going to be some families that keep their kids at home, not just in our district, but just in general, that we may not see as many kids come back in the fall as we had in March. And some of my thoughts were with the hybrid is like when we're teaching, doing an instructional piece, actually doing some Zoom or some Google Meets as we're teaching. So, because the big thing that I learned about distance learning is that authentic teaching that you get when you're doing it live and having kids know, okay, math time's at 9 o'clock, Zoom in at 9 o'clock and get the instruction, have an opportunity to ask questions and to interact with other people in the class. And I think that would be a great place to start is, kids who don't come back and just come in for the instructional piece as part of the digital community, and they get to have that interaction as best as they can distance-wise, that is.
Right. And my guess is that whatever hybrid version we do implement next year is going to require every bit of what you're talking about, which is a formal structure, because as we know it now, what we offer is just that. It's offered, and we hope students take full advantage of it, but it would be very different come August if we're still utilizing a distant model. Other comments, and anyone, teacher, principal, Dr. DeVore, former principal, Dr. DeVore, Allison.
I can jump. Oh, go ahead, Allison.
I would like to see the students held accountably grade-wise, so we have more buy-in. And I also agree with Dr. Bennett. It would have to be heavily structured. I'm going to be really honest. Right now, if I hold a Zoom meeting, I don't hold it till after 12 o'clock because a lot of my students are not awake. The first day of long distance learning, I tried to do something at 7:30 and nobody was there with me. So I learned that I have to do my lessons later in the day if I want to capture my audience and I want people to attend my Zoom meeting. So I would like to see student accountability. So I have buy-in, that they're going to get a grade for the assignments I give them and attending Zoom meetings. And then I also agree with Dr. Bennett, it's going to need to be structured so they know what time to log on to my Zoom meeting, and so I can go over the agenda and teach them what I'm going to teach them, what particular skill.
Right. Well, thank you, Allison. Well, no doubt that whatever model is implemented come August 10th, it will be structured, number one. And number two, it will include accountability because it's school. This, again, because of the transition, as you all know, students were held harmless for their grades based on the last reporting period before March 13th. And many students, of course, are not in a position to do school right now. School might be the least of their concerns for them and their families, given some of the challenges that many of our families have. So that was really why the decision was made at the state level, really, to recommend that all students are held harmless. But that will be very different come the fall.